What's up, guys? We are back today with some NFL content, but don't worry, my MLB picks for today are in the pinned comment below and also in a community post every day. In this video, we are going to break down each team in the NFC East, and I will give you my early Week 1 bets for their games. Before we jump into these breakdowns, do me a big favor and hit that like button, guys. It only takes 1 second and helps out the channel a ton. If you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can notify you about new videos and anytime we go live. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description, go over there and join our free email list, and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports, including NFL preseason premium content. Get in here now for maximum value. Comment below with what you think about these teams or anything you see coming for this NFL season, or any questions you have about the MLB games today. We respond to every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Dallas Cowboys, who come into this season fresh off of a disappointing end to last year, guys. We got Mike McCarthy leading the way for them, but this head coach definitely seems like he's on the hot seat, needing some playoff success to really solidify his spot out there. Going 12-5 last season, obviously not a disaster, but it was a disaster to lose there in the wild card round against the Green Bay Packers. So far, guys, it's looking like the offense not going to be as good as last season. There's really no reason to expect it to be. I mean, losing Tony Pollard from the RB core is a big deal. Dropping left tackle Tyron Smith is also not going to help this offensive line that historically has been one of the bigger strengths of this franchise. Ezekiel Elliott is slated to be their starting running back, and unless we see a very unexpected renaissance from him, running the ball is going to be a huge issue for this team. CeeDee Lamb is dealing with contract issues right now, and it's not like that's looking like that's going to get cleared up anytime soon. We've got Jerry Jones coming out and saying some really, I don't know if concerning, just dumb stuff about the contract negotiations right now, obviously rubbing CeeDee Lamb the wrong way. So we'll see if they can get something done there. Not looking very optimistic, and yeah, you don't want your best offensive player to come into the season being very disgruntled. On top of all those issues, is Dak going to stay healthy and have another good season? Well, that seems extremely up in the air right now. He's already missing time, or at least practice time, if not actual, like reps he could have maybe taken in preseason games, with what's being reported as ankle soreness. So yeah, guys, things not exactly looking all that hot right now for the Cowboys offense, a unit that's going to have to, at least in my opinion, kind of carry the load here, because the defense, guys, we've got a new defensive coordinator. We got Mike Zimmer coming in to replace Dan Quinn. Losing Sam Williams' ability to rush the quarterback is a big hit for this defense that clearly also got worse over the offseason. And yeah, losing guys to injuries in training camp is making things even worse. Obviously, Micah Parsons is an absolute menace out there and could be a game breaker, but is he going to be able to completely just carry this defense to success? It doesn't seem very likely to me. Personally, I think it's a stretch to expect this team to be nearly as good on defense this season as they were a year ago. And with an offense that also looks like it's taking a step back, guys, I don't know. There are a lot of Cowboys fans out there. I know this isn't going to be making them very happy, but I see trouble on the horizon here for the Dallas Cowboys this season. So we'll see what things look like headed into their Week 1 matchup here. The Cowboys are going on the road to take on the Cleveland Browns, who the Browns are actually 1.5-point favorites in this game. So, very close to a pick 'em in this one. We've also got an over-under of 44. Cleveland is another team with a lot of things to be decided here and a lot of question marks coming into this season. I mean, they've got guys coming back from injury, especially like Deshaun Watson. How good can he even be at this point in his career? That seems very up in the air to me as well. So a lot of question marks there. I do think the Browns are going to have a very good defense, but guys, with all the drama currently surrounding the Cowboys, obviously things could change over the time between when you see this video and when, Week 1 games are actually going to be happening. So maybe things will be all hunky-dory by then, but I kind of struggle to see that. So generally speaking, guys, I'm leaning a little bit towards the Browns at -1.5 in this game. And with a very low number out there for the over-under of 44, I'm actually leaning slightly towards the under anyway. I don't think we're going to see a ton of offense in this game. The Browns defense is going to be elite. I don't know how well the Cowboys are going to be able to pass the ball, and I don't think their running game is going to be worth much. And I think they're going to get pressured pretty aggressively. So yeah, my lean on this Week 1 matchup here for the Cowboys is to take their opponents, to take the Browns -1.5, and to take a little look at that under 44 points. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the New York Giants, who they come into this season under Brian Daboll still, but this is definitely a coach in a hot seat situation, guys. We do not know how much longer he's going to be out there. They're going to need to get off to a good start to their season, which, yeah, I mean, it seems possible. They were 6-11 last year. They dealt with a lot of injuries, missed the playoffs, not the year that they were hoping for. Obviously, a lot of things kind of need to change here, it feels like, for the Giants, but they got out of the preseason off to a decent start with a 14-3 win over the Lions, so they'll take that. But this offense, guys, in improving the offensive line in the offseason is going to be very, very helpful for this team. That, yeah, they really need to keep Daniel Jones upright and give him a stable pocket if they want him to have the success we saw from him earlier in his career. So, yeah, all the success that he had that earned him that big deal, or at least kind of earned him that big deal, kind of went up in smoke last year with him getting hurt and taking a lot of hits and stuff like that. So we'll see what they can do here. There's a lot of hope in the franchise that their first round pick, Malik Neighbors, will give Jones a fantastic wide receiver option, but generally speaking, the wide receiver core is looking a little thin to me. I mean, we'll see what they can do. We'll see if Daniel Jones can, elevate these guys a little bit. Really, he needs to be focused on himself, though. Way less mistakes. He needs to take way less big hits, which hopefully this offensive line will help with that. But yeah, a lot of question marks remain for this Giants offense, and one thing that they're hoping will be better is that offensive line, and if the offensive line is significantly better, you would hope the ground game could be used to open some things up, but obviously losing Saquon is a huge loss for this team, and yeah, it's yet to be seen if they're going to be a great rushing team. Like, there's a lot to be looked at, a lot still that needs to happen here before I'm convinced that they're going to be a team that can run the ball in a similar fashion, and yeah, there's no way any of their guys are going to be as good as Saquon Barkley. So we'll have to see what we get from this offense. Not really expecting miracles here, but weirder things have happened. I do think there's some sort of reasonable chance we'd see a bounce back season from Daniel Jones if that offensive line actually is better. So maybe the offense can do a good job here of keeping the defense out of such terrible positions like they were in last season. We're under Shane Bowen now, his first season here as the defensive coordinator for the Giants. Not a lot of great things to say about this team. They finished 26th in the NFL in points allowed per game last season. Maybe having a new defensive coordinator will be the miracle potion that helps them out here, but yeah, I don't know. It seems like they're going to be pretty freaking bad there in the secondary unless there's some sort of, a lot of guys are going to have to emerge as much better players than I think they are for this to be a plus level, secondary, or for this to just be a plus level defense in general. So not really loving what I'm seeing from, the Giants here in this offseason, at least on the defensive side of the ball. There's some reason for optimism on the offensive end, with the offensive line hopefully getting better and stuff like that, but we'll just have to wait and see. A lot of question marks for me about this team, and looking at their week one matchup, guys, we've got a lot of questions about their opponent. Also, we've got the Vikings going on the road to take on the Giants, who are -1 in this game. We've got an over-under of 41.5 in this one, so yeah, the odds makers expecting very little offense in this game. Generally speaking, guys, I'm actually leaning a little bit towards the over. I do think the Vikings, if they come into this game healthy, obviously, Justin Jefferson could score some points, guys, especially against the secondary. So definitely banking on the Vikings being able to score some points. I do think the Giants have the potential, if their offensive line actually is better, to be able to move the ball up and down the field. So that makes some sense to me too. In terms of who's going to win this game, that's a big ask, guys. At this point, we need more information. We need more data. This is a way too early week one look, obviously, but I'm leaning slightly towards the Vikings on the road in this one, possibly. We'll just have to see what we get out of them here, but yeah, generally speaking, my lean in this one is the Vikings, maybe, and I also like over 41.5. That's probably my bigger lean at this point. Next up, guys, making our way through the NFC East, we are looking at the Philadelphia Eagles under head coach Mike Sirianni. They were 11-6 last season, lost in the wild card round in a blowout at Tampa Bay. The Eagles were maybe the most injured team in the NFL last season, it felt like to me, or at least the most injured team that was supposed to be really, really good. So yeah, they're hoping for a big bounce back and lots of health here this season. There's some sort of weird conflict going on between Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, and while the hope is that that could end up being a thing of the past by the time week one rolls around, I still think it is a very big concern in my opinion. You cannot have your head coach and your starting quarterback butting heads. Like, that is not going to work out, and generally speaking, in situations like that, is the coach that we see headed out the door. So yeah, very, very odd stuff coming out of the Eagles training camp at this point. We'll see if they can, get back on track a little bit, but yeah, that seems like a relationship that we need to be monitoring, and this team had a big collapse after a quick start last season. Obviously, a good amount of that was due to injury, but there's got to be a next guy up mentality. Like, there has to be people to fill the gaps. They're hoping that, locking up A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith will help, but possibly more important could be the addition of Saquon Barkley. That's going to be a huge addition. Him coming over from the Giants, that's definitely going to help. Going to give this offense some of the scariest options. Take that out. That's going to give this offense some of the scariest options in the league. Obviously, losing Jason Kelce could hurt that offensive line a little bit, but Cam Jurgens is there to step into the gap, and I think he's going to be just fine out there. So generally speaking, if we don't end up with some just horrendous, crazy, weirdo feud between the quarterback and the head coach, I think this offense could be among the better offenses in the National Football League. Like, they've got all the pieces, they've got all the weapons, they just need to stay healthy and have everybody be on the same page, and we should see a lot of good stuff. The defensive side of the ball, we've got got Vic Fangio leading the way. It's his first season here as the defensive coordinator. Last season, the secondary was not very good at all, but the hope is that bringing in rookies Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell and veteran defensive back C.J. Gardner-Johnson will make the secondary one that can at least hold down the fort. I mean, obviously, a hamstring injury for DeJean is not a great start out there, but there's still some reason for optimism for the Philly fans on that side of the ball. I think this unit could get better than they were last year. I think at minimum they got a little bit deeper, so if they do have a lot of injuries again, they can kind of absorb them a little bit better than they did last season, which was just kind of a nightmare for Phillies fans, honestly. Like, it seemed like every other game there was some injury, and it's just like, God, now what are we going to do? So, yeah, generally speaking, I do think this defense can get a little bit better this season, especially if they can stay healthy. So that at least is the hope. And looking at their week one matchup, guys, we've got the Green Bay Packers going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are -1.5 at home in this game, and we've got an over-under of 48.5. The Packers are the hot new thing, guys. Absolutely no doubt about it. Everybody's in love with Jordan Love, and we'll see what we get out of the Packers here this season. It's going to be pretty interesting. I do think they're likely to be a very good team, but I also think the Eagles are pretty likely to be a good team. We're going to have to be monitoring this thing headed up to week one here to see what's going on. If this like Jalen Hurts situation with the head coach gets even worse, like there could be some reason to be exciting against the Eagles. But other than that, I do think there's some reason to be on the Eagles at -1.5 in this game. And in terms of the over-under, I would tend to lean slightly towards the under. I do think both of these teams could have underrated defenses, and with offenses that, might struggle to get into the swing of things right off the bat this season, I do think there's some reason to look at the under. But yeah, guys, generally speaking, this is a game we definitely need a lot more information on. We're going to need to know which way things are pointed here for the Eagles and their whole, like quarterback head coach feud before we could give you like a very concrete lean on this spot. Rounding out the NFC East here, guys, we've got the Washington Commanders. They're coming into the season fresh off of a very rough one a year ago. We've got Dan Quinn in here. It's his first season coming over from Dallas. He was Dallas's defensive coordinator. Now he's going to be the head coach of the Washington Commanders. Last year, the Commanders, not too fun out there for them, guys. 4-13 on the year, obviously missing the playoffs. And yeah, the big question for this offense, guys, what can we expect from rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels in his first season coming out of LSU? I mean, the idea is that Cliff Kingsbury and Brian Johnson to guide his development, and yeah, some reliable wide receiver targets and guys like Terry McLaurin and Dotson, and a good tight end in Zach Ertz, and a great pass catching RB in Austin Eckler. This offense could be sneaky good, but that all relies on one very big thing, guys. One of the biggest problems that this team had last season, they were giving up sack after sack. They were just getting destroyed back there. It was hard to watch at times. Like, you're just watching these guys get killed back there, and if the offensive line can hold up, I do think this offense in general can be pretty decent, but that is a big question mark. They're going to have to make hand over fist improvements from a year ago. And obviously having a lot of offensive weapons can help. You can get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly and stuff like that, and run the ball and do some things with that to relieve some of the pressure there in the backfield. But man, it is kind of a big ask for this offensive line to go from being so bad last season to so much better this season. So we'll see what they can do there on the offensive side of the ball. In terms of their defense, they've got a first-year defensive coordinator there in Joe Witt Jr. He's coming into this one hoping he can turn things around. I mean, we saw Dan Quinn bring some solid defensive pieces over with him from Dallas, which should make this unit that allowed the most points per game in the NFL last season a good amount better. That being said, I'm not expecting this defense to transform completely over only a single offseason, and if that means the absolute ceiling for this defense is middle of the pack, I think they'd be fine with that, honestly. If they could go from worst to middle of the pack in just one offseason, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, with Dan Quinn at the helm, like, I'm expecting improvement here, and bringing over some pieces should definitely help as well. So I'm generally expecting this defense to at least be better than it was a season ago. If not, I don't think they're going to be amazing right out of the gate, but I'm expecting some good stuff. So looking at their week one matchup, we've got the Commanders going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 3.5 or 4-point favorites in this game, so no major surprise there to see the Commanders as underdogs. Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay, they're probably a team that got a little bit worse over the offseason too, and they're a team that's pretty much just running it back after some, I would say at least kind of surprising success from a year ago. There's an over-under of 41.5 in this game also. I do think there's reason to look at the under for this one because I'm not expecting much out of the Washington Commanders offense in this game, so I would probably be leaning towards taking the Buccaneers -3.5 if you can still find it out there, but we need more information. If the Commanders start showing a lot of promise here in the preseason or something like that, or the Buccaneers start to have a lot of issues, maybe we could change our mind on this one, but generally that's the way we're leaning. That's everything we have today, guys, for the NFC East. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any NFL questions you have. Don't forget to check out the community post and the pinned comment for my daily MLB predictions. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.